Hi, and welcome to the show where we share the stories of the many who intersect with our healthcare system but are rarely heard from. Subscribe at kevinmd.com/podcast. Today, we have a special sponsored episode from the Texila American University College of Medicine, or TAUCOM, in Guyana. Our first guest is Dr. Dheeraj Bansal, Dean of Medicine. Dr. Bansal has been instrumental in overseeing the functioning of the institution as a member of the executive committee and has also served as a key member of the Quality Assurance Committee. We're also joined by Dr. Nisarg Patel, Director of Admissions. Dr. Patel has worked with students and advisors across North America to provide admission guidance. Today, we're talking about why you should consider the Texila American University in Guyana for medical school. Find out more at tau.edu.gy. That's tau.edu.gy. And the link is in the show notes. So I'm going to ask both of you to tell us about yourselves and your roles at the Texila American University College of Medicine. Dr. Bansal, why don't you go first?
Thank you, Kevin. I am Dheeraj Bansal. I did my medical school and my MD from India. From there, I moved to Nepal and worked there as a faculty in a medical school. After that, I moved to US, did my master's in health policy and management, and joined Harvard School of Public Health as scientific director. Later on, I moved to Caribbean region and I worked as a professor and a member of the senior leadership team at one of the prestigious medical schools in the Caribbean region. And finally, in 2018, I moved to Guyana and joined Texila American University College of Medicine as the Dean and Chief Academic Officer. My role, as my designation describes, is to oversee the overall functioning of the medical school to ensure the quality of education our students are getting, to ensure that they have the required skills, they have the required communication skills, they have a wholesome experience when they go through the clinical rotation, which is at par with any quality medical education program.
Dr. Patel, why don't you tell us about yourself and your role?
Well, thank you again, Dr. Fo, for having us. My name is Dr. Nisarg Patel. I'm the Director of Admissions here at TAUCOM. I started earlier this year, a couple of months ago, and prior to that, I was in other admissions roles where I assisted students as well as worked with advisors to provide not only admissions guidance, but how we as institutions can collaborate. And I'm looking forward to talking about our program.
Dr. Bansal, from what I read, Talcom was founded in 2010. That is quite new. Could you explain the unique features of Texila, its curriculum, and how it prepares students for a successful medical career?
Sure, Kevin. Our institution has many unique features. I would begin with the diversity of our student body. Here at Texas American University College of Medicine, TAUCOM, as we call it, we have students from over 20 countries, which is very rare. And I can say that because I have worked all over the world in medical institutions. I have never seen such a diverse student body, which is definitely something that we are very proud of and is very unique to our organization. Another unique feature of TAUCOM, I would say, is the choice of clinical rotation. Our students have the choice to do their clinical rotation either in Guyana at one of the top hospitals of Guyana or in US, and again, a Green Book tertiary care hospital in Arizona, the Tucson Medical Center. This is again a very unique feature because it exposes you to a very different and a wide range of patients and medical conditions. Another unique feature of our institution is our community outreach program. Our students, very early on, from the very first semester of the program, they get to go to the old age home, interact with the geriatric population. They get to go to the primary healthcare center. They go to the family care center, which is a resident facility where children from underprivileged families, children from broken homes are taken care of. And our students go and talk to them, interact with them about common diseases, personal hygiene, dental hygiene, and things like that, which is a very wonderful experience for them. And finally, I would say the fourth unique feature, in my opinion, is the range of career options that we offer. As you are well aware, Kevin, you go to a medical school in US, you end up having a career in US and US only. Whereas if you come to our program, of course, you have the option of working in US as a physician. But if you want to do that, you can even have a medical career in the Caribbean region also. These, I think, are the unique feature of our program. The curriculum of TAUCOM is also very unique. First of all, I would like to mention that it is based on ACGME competencies, which are the standards most of the medical schools follow in the United States. Our curriculum has main focus areas which happen to be medical knowledge. Medical knowledge is very important component of any program. And what we do to help our students is to provide them with supporting materials such as Lecturio program, which is an excellent resource for PowerPoints, for articles, for practice questions. Also, all our major courses, final exams are NBME exams, which are the same exams given to US medical students. And finally, at the end of our basic science program, embedded in the curriculum is a Kaplan review course. There is also exit exam for basic science and clinical science called CBSE and CCSE, which are considered some of the best predictor of step 1 and step 2 exam. So these are the unique things we have in place to ensure that our students are getting the medical knowledge that they require for a successful medical career. In terms of clinical skills, we start exposing them to clinical skills from the very first semester in the form of doctor-patient relationship courses, which run from MD1 to MD4. And in these courses, we teach them from the very first day the basic clinical skills about how to take history, how to do physical exam, how to go into a differential later on into the semesters, and what's the basic management of a particular case. We also have something known as ICCBM, integrated case-based modules, in which the students use role-playing as a learning method to talk about a specific medical condition. So these are the things we have in place to ensure that they have a good clinical skill. And also to supplement our efforts, we have something known as Cyber Patient, which is a virtual hospital program, which is highly interactive program in which our students can go pick a medical condition and then go through the entire clinical procedure, history taking, physical exam, and things like that. And finally, the third component of our curriculum happens to be research. There are enough opportunities for our students to conduct research. Again, we start from the very first semester, research methodology program. That's the name of the course. And we teach them how to conduct actually a clinical research. And in semester 2, when they have learned the basic skills to conduct research, they are actually required to carry out an independent clinical research project, which ends up giving them a publication in a reputed journal. So you can imagine, Kevin, by the time they're done with second semester, they already have a publication to their credit, which is going to strengthen their residency application significantly. So these are some of the unique features that I could think of in the curriculum to help them become good medical doctors or have a successful medical career. And also, I would like to add the affordability. It's a very affordable program, which never hurts.
Dr. Bansal, you mentioned that TAUCOM offers clinical rotations both in the US and Guyana. Talk more about that dual exposure, about how that benefits students in their medical training.
Kevin, as you know, this is a time for global medicine. Yeah. We are not required to practice medicine in the country of our origin anymore. You should be able to work any part of the world if you want to do that. And our program provides you that opportunity. Imagine working in a very different part of the world with its own set of clinical conditions, with its own diseases that you are getting exposed to. So I think this dual clinical rotation gives a very rare opportunity for our students to not only get exposed to conditions and diseases in terms of United States, but also in a developing country such as Guyana with its own sets of communicable diseases and conditions. I think this kind of exposure will be crucial in them becoming a more wholesome physician and be more successful in their medical careers later on.
Dr. Bansal, how do Texila American University's curriculum and clinical rotation specifically prepare students for the competitive residency application process in the U.S.?
So, Kevin, let us start with what makes an application a good resident application. So, if you look at different components, I would start with a good performance on USMLE Step 1 and Step 2. After that, some kind of research experience, especially a focus on some clinical conditions, so clinical research experience, some kind of community activity or some kind of community service that you have given, and some kind of interprofessional collaboration, which is also ACGME competence, by the way. And finally, ensuring that you have the required clinical exposure to be a part of any team in a good residency program. These are the 5 components, I believe, that will make a residency application a good residency application. Let's take them one by one. Yes, as I already mentioned, we do give you all the knowledge, including NBME exams, including Kaplan review course, including the comprehensive exit exam for basic science and clinical science, ensuring that you have all the tools to do really well on USMLE Step 1 and Step 2. For research, as I mentioned earlier, our curriculum is built to automatically make you publish a scientific paper. We both know, Kevin, that it's the first scientific paper that's the hardest to work on. After that, it becomes easier because you know exactly what to do. So we set our students on a path to keep on publishing. By the time they apply for a residency program, they already have multiple publications to their credit. So that's the research part. Also, every year we conduct international conference in which we have experts from all over the world. The last one we did was on communicable diseases, and we had experts from Canada, from US, from United Kingdom, Malaysia, India, and of course the local experts from Caribbean region. That's a wonderful opportunity for our students to present their work, to do poster presentations or paper presentations, again, enhancing their research component of the residency application. Also, as I mentioned earlier, we have excellent opportunity to do community services, whether it's a geriatric population in old age home or in primary healthcare center, whether it's underprivileged children in family center or the remote rural areas of the country, which provides them enough opportunity to do some kind of community service. Finally, interprofessional collaboration. Texila American University College of Medicine is within the umbrella of Texila American University. We also have a School of Business Management. We also have schools of public health. Hence, it's a wonderful opportunity. And our students have been doing that. There's enough collaboration between these institutes to bring different perspective and just different aspect of medical education, which also is an added plus to their residency application. And you ensure that they get the correct clinical exposure with the variety and number of patients that they're supposed to see and experience, and you have a good, robust residency application.
Dr. Bansal, I saw that your program has important accreditations and recognitions from a few countries. What makes TALCOM's dual accreditation significant for prospective medical students?
Okay, Kevin, let me start by saying this. What do you think of a movie that has won both Oscar and Golden Globe? Of course, you would say that that movie has to be good because it has won not only Oscar, but also the Golden Globe. So yes, CAAM-HP was enough for our needs because CAAM-HP has been recognized by WFME as the accreditation body for the region. And that was enough for us to be eligible for our students to go for USMLE. But we decided to test ourselves further. We said, why not try another accreditation body? So we went for ACCM, which is a universally recognized accreditation body, even recognized by WFME. And just to show ourselves and to show everyone that we really are what we claim to be. So for our prospective students, I'll say that we are actually a good medical program as proved by our two accreditations, ACCM and CAAM-HP, and you will definitely have the tools required for a successful medical career here.
And Dr. Patel, can you comment on how accreditation ties into Texila's market position and growth phase?
Absolutely. So accreditation has been a crucial piece, as Dr. Bansal mentioned, and it really, incorporates our as an institution, our university, and the programs, not only the credibility of the program, but also its market position, as you mentioned. The dual accreditation, CAAM-HP and ACCM, are the hallmarks of accreditation when you're looking at international medical education. And I think it further, echoes what Dr. Bansal mentioned about the standards that we have for students who are pursuing international medical careers. And we want Texila to be the location, and we want students to come to Guyana and experience the same experience that they would have at a local university in the United States or in North America, say in Canada. And I think the significance of the accreditation and how it ties into our market position is that we're fairly new in the grand scheme of things when it comes to medical education, but I think it brings us right up to speed with all of the other medical schools in the region who have these accreditations. We are, what we like to say is, we're in our hyper growth phase. So we're actively looking for partnerships and collaborations with universities locally in the United States as well as in Canada, so that we can find options and education laddering options for our students and for our counterparts, so that they can provide their student body with the different options for medical education or some of the other programs that Dr. Bansal mentioned.
You're listening to a special sponsored episode from the Texila American University College of Medicine about why you should consider Texila American University in Guyana for medical school. Find out more at tau.edu.gy. That's tau.edu.gy, and that link is in the show notes. Dr. Bansal, how does TALCOM support its students beyond academics, particularly in terms of career counseling, research opportunities, and mental health services?
Career counseling, we think, is something really important. And we do not wait for our students to graduate for career counseling. Actually, we begin the career counseling from day one. When the students come into our program during the orientation, we talk in detail about what kind of career options are going to be available for them when they finish the program. Reason is that it will act as a motivation for them. They see that, yes, I want to be a surgeon or I want to be a physician, and they start working on that from day one. And hence we started from day one. Second step of career counseling we do is when they reach MD4, the end of a basic sciences program. Here we get clinicians from our clinical rotation site, GPHC, Guyana, and the clinicians come and talk to them about different departments, different specialties, and what are the career options that are going to be available for them once they pick that as their career choice. Third step of career counseling comes, Kevin, when they finish their core rotations and it's time for elective rotations. As per our curriculum, they are supposed to pick 7 electives out of 20 plus choices that they are going to have. And for those electives, our Associate Dean of Clinical Affairs sit with every student one-on-one and discuss their career choices and help them pick the elective rotation based on their career choices. For example, if somebody wants to go for cardiology, he will say, do one rotation in cardiology, one may be in emergency medicine, and one may be in radiology, where you can be exposed to echocardiogram and things like that. So that's step 4 of our career counseling. And finally, when our students graduate, depending on which program they want to go to or which country they want to go to, we have packages prepared for them as to, for this licensing program, what are the requirements, what are the things you need to do, what are the documents you need to submit, and how to prepare for that exam. So it's a 4-step process of career counseling for us. Research opportunities are plentiful. As I told you in the earlier part of our interview, that we start the research training from the very first semester, and we teach them how to do a research work, especially on a clinical topic. And then in semester two, they actually carry out a research activity, and which ends up in a publication or a poster presentation in the reputed international conferences and things like that. Then as they move on, since they have already done it once, they end up publishing one or two more papers. So by the time they're done, they already have multiple publications to their credit. Secondly, again, I mentioned earlier, we organize international conference once a year around November, December time, which is an excellent opportunity for our students not only to present their work, but also listen to these research experts from all over the world. And that's a wonderful exposure that they get according to their interest and what they want to do in research areas. So these are the kind of research activities we have in place for our students. For mental health services, we have a multiple things in place. As soon as the student walks into a program, we assign a student mentor, preferably from the same background that student is coming from, because that person will be familiar with the challenges a student will be facing when they join the program. We also assign a faculty mentor, not academic, but faculty mentor to address non-academic issues that the student might be facing. We also assign an academic advisor, faculty member again, which will help the student if the student is facing any challenges in academic performance, which is also going to affect his mental health. And finally, we have a panel of mental health care providers who are stationed out of the campus. So student, if they have the need and they need to see a mental health care provider, then we organize a session with the mental health provider for our students.
Dr. Patel, what does the admission process look like for students, and what is TALCOM's transfer policy?
Okay, so when it comes to applying for medical school, I know that there is a lot of, a lot of anticipation. There's a lot of nervousness that's built in. And one of the biggest differences in our admissions process, which is more popularly known as the rolling admissions process, compared to what our students may be used to here in the United States, where they only have the opportunity to apply to medical school once a year. At our program, students can apply for two separate intakes. We have an intake in September in the fall, and then we have another intake in March of every year. So this gives students two different opportunities to apply for the program. If they don't succeed the first time, get some feedback from our admissions directors and really strengthen their application so that they can apply the following term. One of the important highlights about applying to our program is that given the nascency of the program, we understand that there may be questions about approaching a Caribbean medical school or an international medical school, and we're here to give second chances. So if a student really missed the boat for medical school in the United States or in Canada, they can take their talents down to the Caribbean and see if they can apply themselves here and really get that opportunity to go through medical school. The admissions process is fairly similar to what students are used to here in the US and in Canada. So you do have to submit applications, along with that documents that are pertinent to the admissions process. So things like a really well-written personal statement, a updated resume where it communicates their professional and academic achievements. Of course, letters of recommendation from their mentors or from their academic advisors are a significant part of the admissions process. And one of the most challenging parts about a medical school application or medical school admissions is the interview. And at our program, of course, we have the interview that is conducted by the admissions representative, Dr. Suraj. He's one of the admission directors. at our program. But in addition to that, we also have many multiple interviews as part of our admissions process, which is not very common at any of the medical schools here in the US. And some universities in Canada still conduct the MMIs. So it's a really different experience for students. It gives them the rigorous kind of medical school application process, as well as, the second chance at applying to medical school. You mentioned transfer policy, and this is another way that our program is quite different from other medical schools, specifically in the Caribbean market. Many medical schools don't accept transfer students. In our case, we do. We accept transfer students into our MD program from accredited medical schools. And I think it's a really important part of a student's journey. If they have entered medical school and they didn't, for one reason or another, they had to either stop, or they're looking for a different opportunity for their medical education, they can still pursue their medical careers at Texila. And our admissions process is well suited for that. It's quite seamless. See, nowadays we can complete the applications online. You don't have to travel for your interviews, for in-person interviews. The interviews are conducted virtually, as we are, having this discussion virtually. So in the grand scheme of things, the medical school application process does look very similar to the applications that you would see here in the US, but with more opportunities for you to strengthen your application as you get ready for med school.
Dr. Patel, what qualities and characteristics do you believe make a student a good fit for Texila? Are there specific traits or experiences you look for during the admissions process?
Absolutely. And I think it starts from the core question of what qualities are we looking for in your own physician, a family doctor. My wife and I are looking for a pediatrician right now. And some of the qualities that we look for are commitment, resilience, and dedication to their job. And at the end of the day, when we are evaluating students who have completed their application for medical school, we're looking for those same qualities. Of course, academic standards are going to be part of the evaluation, but can you communicate the information that is in front of you? Can you have a really compassionate conversation with your patients and your peers and your mentors? So I really think that resilience, commitment, and dedication are the three most important characteristics that we look for in students, in addition to their academic, accomplishments.
Dr. Patel, you alluded to this earlier, but what do you say to prospective students and their families who may be hesitant about attending a Caribbean medical school?
Absolutely. One of the most important things is that we understand as admissions and administrative professionals that there are concerns about attending an international medical school, and there's definitely been a stigma around attending Caribbean medical schools. But I do want to point out once again the accreditation that we mentioned earlier. So the CAAM-HP accreditation, the ACCM accreditation, those are significant as part of any medical education when you're pursuing an international medical school outside of the United States and Canada. And we meet those standards, right? One of the important things that I want to communicate to not only students, but the decision makers for those students is that accreditation is not only important as part of their medical school journey, but also after they have graduated from Texila, they can pursue their residencies and their licensing options in different parts of the world. Specifically important here is the United States, Canada, and the UK being options for the graduates who complete their MD degree at Texila. So yes, we understand that there may be some hesitance in pursuing a medical school that is located internationally in different parts, outside of the United States. But unlike some of the other medical schools in the Caribbean, I think one of the biggest differences for Guyana is that we are located in South America. Although we are, we have a coast, we're located by a coastal city in Georgetown. Students don't have to travel to, say, for example, a small island in order to go to a medical school. They can come right to Guyana. They can go to the main campus and still have that medical school experience. Maybe not the same as they would in the United States, but fairly similar.
Dr. Bansal, can you provide examples of how Texila American University supports its students in overcoming the challenges associated with attending a Caribbean medical school, particularly in terms of clinical experience and residency placement?
Sure, Kevin. If you think of being a parent myself, what challenges my child, or if I am a prospective student, what challenges I'm going to face if I go to a Caribbean medical school. The first thing and the first question would be, would I be able to cope with the challenges there in terms of being in a new place, in a new environment? I think that is the most important question. And we are very sensitive to that. And because of that reason, we have ensured that our program is not just about academics. We have different activities in place, such as we have sports activities, we have cultural activities. And I have to mention here one thing, something we introduced called as culture mingle. What happens on those days is that students from different parts of the world, they come in their traditional dresses. They bring samples of, food items from their own country, and they present songs and dances from their own country, and even a short video showing the highlights of their own country. I'm telling you, this was one of the most wonderful experience that I have been through. It's going to be stressful still, but it is not as stressed as one would think coming to a different environment. As for clinical experience, we were very careful in picking our clinical sites, which happened to be GPHC in Guyana, which is the top hospital of the country, a tertiary care hospital, 600 plus beds, and has the variety and the number of patients that a medical student must be exposed to become competent in those clinical skills and appearing for USMLE Step 2 exam. Our second center happens to be Tucson Medical Center in Arizona, another Green Book Hospital, tertiary care hospital, 600 bed, with all the specialties that are available in a that level hospital. So we have worked very hard to ensure that our students get the clinical experience that they deserve when they appear for any residency program. We also are very actively involved in developing the clinical curriculum, which ensures not only the medical topics that they will be taught, but it also has a list of procedures, clinical procedures that either they will be conducting themselves or they will be observing somebody doing those procedures. So in a nutshell, we have ensured that our clinical curriculum is developed in such a way that the clinical experience is wholesome and has all the required components to bring them to the level of anybody going through a medical program in anywhere else in the country. Finally, residency placement. As I was saying earlier, we start career counseling from day one when they join this program. We have followed the standards of NBME in form of NBME exams, which are some of the best predictors for USMLE Step 1 and Step 2. We have videos of our successful candidates who are actually in residency program in US, and these videos are informative communication with our future students as to what are the requirements, what are the documentation you need, what are the resources that you must go to, and what are the things you have to keep in mind when you appear for a residency interview. And having been through the process themselves, they are the experts in telling our students what needs to be done to be successful in a residency program. So these are the things we have put in place to address the challenges one might face being in a Caribbean medical school. And Kevin, I'd like to say that we are very flexible and we update ourselves regularly. And if
Mhm.
anyone else has an idea which will be helpful in making our program more efficient, we are always open to ideas.
Now I'm going to end with some of your take-home messages that you want to leave with the Kevin MD audience. Dr. Patel, why don't you go first?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity here to speak with your listeners about not only our program, but what opportunities they have when they're looking for options to apply for medical school, or whether it's other healthcare professions. My take-home message for all of your listeners would be two things. One, if you want to pursue a medical career, Texila American University in Guyana is a really great option. And our accreditation that we mentioned earlier in the podcast is a really great place for anybody who's wanting to explore the program and why the accreditation is important. I think that's a really great place to start. And the second point is that we have a pathway for medical career for all students, whether it is a high school graduate who can apply to our pre-med track that leads directly to the MD program, or we're talking about some of our undergraduate students who have completed their prerequisite courses, meet the 90 credit requirement that we have for admission into the MD program. They can also apply for the MD track. And ultimately, we are here in service of our students and how we can help them achieve their dream to become a medical doctor. So if we can provide any support from the admissions perspective and as a program, we're ready to do so.
And Dr. Bansal, will end with you. Please share your take-home messages.
Thank you, Kevin. And once again, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to interact with your audience and your followers. I would like to say is that every genuine aspirant of medical education who dreams of becoming a physician or who dreams of practicing as a doctor should not give up on that dream just because there were not enough seats available at the medical school that they applied to. Just because they did not reach a certain level of education during their basic education years does not mean that they cannot be good doctors in future or be a part of a competitive residency program. We believe here at Texila American University College of Medicine in providing you with that chance, that opportunity to become a physician, to become a doctor who is competent, who is knowledgeable, and who is passionate. Thank you very much.
You've listened to a special sponsored episode from the Texila American University College of Medicine about why you should consider Texila American University in Guyana for medical school. Find out more at tau.edu.gy. That's tau.edu.gy, and that link is in the show notes. Doctors Bansal and Patel, thank you so much for sharing your perspective and insight. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you. Our pleasure.